Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today, yes, the day finally came. I know I've been saying that a lot lately, and it's because I've been checking a lot of things off of my list. I've been acquiring stuff that I have wanted to acquire, that I've been, thinking about or just sort of circling for a long time. In this case, years. But yeah, this day finally came. I finally found one of these that I wanted to own. The reality of this is that I have wanted to own this knife since the first time I handled it, and I told myself that I wasn't going to settle for anything less than absolute perfection. I got almost that. And I missed an opportunity to pick up absolute perfection basically a couple of days later. But we're gonna check this one out, and I'm gonna say for sure which variation I like better. But either way, this is the one I'm going to keep. Really happy with that. I did pay full price for this. I bought it off DLT Trading. I will link these down in the description. You guys can check it out if you want to. It does help my channel when you use those links, but that's up to you. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me, and make sure your notifications are turned on for the Metal Complex YouTube channel. So this is a brand new one. This is the Arius, and it is a non-flipper. That is the only version of this knife that I have been interested in. I think, does this just come straight? No, does the box just sort of drop out of the bottom? I feel like there's, yeah, I was going to say it's probably magnetic. There's nothing wrong with the flipper version. In fact, I think the flipper version is designed really, really well. In my opinion, the non-flipper version is superior. This is not the case for non-flippers of all knives in general. In some designs, a flipper tab is a better choice, right? But I think for the lines of the Arius, this works better. So this is a standard production one. It's nothing crazy, M390. And then it says NF burnished with PF patterned. Okay, April of 2026. So very, very, very new. I am very excited because I've always said that Koenig makes one of the best, USA, small batch USA pocket knives, out of everybody, right? They're one of the best. And I do have, sorry, I'm getting over, it's not really a cold, it's just allergies affecting the back of my throat. But, I do have videos on the Koenig Arius. I've reviewed it, and it's crazy. It's shocking how old those videos are. You have to think about how much time passed between then and me finally acquiring this thing. So this is a big deal. I'm really excited. Let's go ahead and open it up. Just as I remember, absolutely phenomenal. So let me show you the texture pattern that I ended up with here. And this was my second choice. I said, if I can't find exactly what I'm after, which was the diamond pattern, and I found one on Blade Bench, right? Nothing brand new. Ideally, it would be a brand new one, right? But I settled for this, and I'm really happy. I think this looks really, really good. The diamond pattern, that's just a preference. It's not saying that the pattern is, like, factually better, but I have a lot of, high-end American pocket knives that have that same sort of diamond texturing, and I just wanted it to match. But you know what? This matches pretty darn well. I like how it looks. The main thing for me was that it was not smooth. I did not want the smooth Arius. I wanted the textured Arius. And to my surprise, this texturing actually does add meaningful traction. The best thing about the Arius is the overall fit and finish. The Arius, and it's still nice to be able to say this, it's so nice now handling this thing years later and finding out that it is still just as exquisite as it was then. If you have never handled a Koenig Arius, as somebody who has handled just about, especially sub 1,000, there are few prominent knives that I have not handled that cost less than $1,000. Well, hold on, let me rephrase that. There's probably a lot of stuff under $1,000 that I've not handled, but I suppose, I guess I did say that correctly, prominent, right? Really popular things. I'm not suggesting that I have handled the vast majority of pocket knives on earth under $1,000, no. But as far as the prominent sort of, the industry, the ones that turn heads, right? The ones that people talk about, pay attention to. I've handled that stuff. And most of that stuff, people pay attention to it for a good reason. Every now and then you find something that's a little overrated, but I've found that, yeah, there's a reason that the community is so enamored by a lot of this stuff. Because it's put together in such an amazing way. Of those, I will say, if we're talking about precision, consistency, fit and finish, just how absolutely perfect is the final product. And you talk to a lot of people like me. I'm not talking about people who just have watched videos. I'm talking about people who have handled these things. They're going to, a lot of them are going to tell you that Koenig is either, number 1, number 2, number 3. They're going to be up there. The Arius, on top of that, is a design that doesn't really look like any of the other major USA contenders. It's flowy. It almost looks like it's dripping off of, like it's a droplet in the shape of a knife. But the end result here is a knife that is built in a way that's extremely utilitarian. Good looking, super duper expensive, sure, but very, very utilitarian. Mine's an M390. I have to assume Koenig does a really good heat treatment. This is an exposed frame lock. It would be really cool if they decided to do like a nested liner lock at some point. Actually, I don't know if they do that or not. Action is superb. The only thing I think that the Koenig Arius is missing is jimping right here. But aggressive hollow grind. Really, really nice thin edge there. Perfect cutting bevel. I expected to get this knife and say, it's flawless. It's still flawless. I mean, it was flawless, 5 or 6 years ago whenever I reviewed it for the first time. And it is still flawless. I love the contrast of the polished backspacer, by the way. My idea of absolute perfection when it comes to the Arius is stonewashed or DLC. Would have gone for that too. This is a little harder to get. And then we have plain titanium textured with a non-anodized hardware. That's the version that I want. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with anodized, but I just didn't want any anodizing. So plain backspacer, non-anodized, plain hardware. Truly one of the greatest, in terms of the high-end small batch, mid-tech, ultra high-end production, whatever you want to call it. These U.S. knife makers that are operating in small shops, this is one of the best that you can possibly buy. It has been that way for years. It has not changed. Koenig is what I'm going to start referring to as one of the 12 Knights of the Round. Eventually, I'm going to make a video on this, but ever since my return to the Holy Trinity, people, automatically bring up discussions of, well, this wouldn't be the Holy Trinity today, or this maker belongs here now, or we should replace this with this. And I always say the same thing. I say, you can't just replace, you can't just change historically the Holy Trinity. It doesn't matter what you put there. I mean, I could make a video saying, the Holy Trinity is no longer the Holy Trinity, and we're just replacing it. It doesn't change historically the fact that Hinder, Strider, and Reeve are always going to be the original Holy Trinity. What we can do is create an entirely different set of rules, an entirely different label. Instead of trying to go back and forcefully remove somebody from the Trinity and then jam Emerson in there or jam Demko in there, how about we just create a new, label and new parameters, right? So I thought about this in Arthurian legend.
Arthurian legend says
the Knights of the Round typically refer to 12 core knights. However, the Knights of the Round historically consists of as many as 1,600 knights. This is great because it leaves it open for people to add whatever they want, right? When your own special little playhouse, you can add whatever you want. In my own special little playhouse, I'm going to reduce it to 12. And I'm going to make a video on the 12 that I think have created the biggest impact / the finest product. That way there's room for more because you can't reduce it to 3. You used to be able to reduce it to 3, and you can't do that anymore. To be honest with you, it's going to be really hard to reduce it to 12. And reducing it to 12 will lead to additional discussions and arguments about which knife makers I left out and which should be added in. And that's just part of it. But instead of going back and arguing about which makers should be included in the Holy Trinity or replacing certain members of the Holy Trinity, I think we should have something new to argue about. And never reach a true conclusion on. It's time for the community to have a new thing. I think in a lot of ways the community has already discussed this a million times over. I just want to make an official video on it and then bring some discussion in. I want to see what other people think. I'm going to give when I do this video, I'm going to give the makers that I think deserve to be there absolutely spots. And then, of course, leave room in the discussion for people to tell me who they think should be there. But Koenig, I can tell you right now, spoiler alert, Koenig is on that list. And in fact, anybody who doesn't include Koenig, they just haven't handled it. I mean, there's no way to create a list like that and not put Koenig on it. unless you just haven't experienced them. That is the only way. 100 people out of 100 people making a list of the top 12 best in-house USA high-end or mid-tech production knife makers, right? Whatever terms you want to apply there, that are not, it's not handmade, but there's a lot of additional processes, right? Very expensive processes. Anybody who's making a list of the top 12 is going to include Koenig, like full stop. It's just how it's going to be. Incredible piece. Happy to have it. I'm not upset that I did not get the diamond because I think this pattern looks really, really good. I'm glad they included it on both sides. It probably will not be. That detent is crazy. Look, listen. I'm going to pull it away. Really spectacular. Really, really spectacular. Awesome knife. Happy to have it. Hyper expensive, but I think it is. I think the price is well deserved on these. I think they're actually that good. So if you've been on the fence about a Koenig, don't be. But if you want to watch my full review, you can. This might be a knife I return to since it's been many, many years since I've talked about it. But I am happy to finally put this one in the case. That's going to be it today, guys. Links for the Koenig Arius down in the description. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex. I'll go right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.